Oh man, I've been dreading this. Coming out in these conditions, just rain and misery and dull and all over the place. But at the same time, these conditions do have some great potential for images, especially in woodland, where all the mood and the atmosphere can really come to life. So just a couple of meters into the forest, I already found my first image. So just walking along the way, I came across this tree. It doesn't look obvious as a photograph, but I really like the light because it's kind of like side light. Path is leading in this direction, so there's some split in between the trees where some light can come through, and it's lighting it up beautifully, just very ambient, very diffused. And then on the left hand side it's more or less shade. Obviously there's still some ambient light around, but it's not as direct because the sun is coming from this direction. So yeah, and then the second thing is there's so much moss, and obviously it's completely drained by all the rain. I mean, it's not raining as much, but it has been over the whole day. So it's very wet and humid, and it just gives so much texture and saturation to the green and to the moss, and well, it looks super interesting. And also what's quite cool is, I mean, I do have some distractions over here, but also there's a second tree in the background which is in shade, but it still acts as a balancing act. So there's some harmony, some balance in my image, and I quite like that. Especially in forest, it's really something that I want to improve on and get some really harmony in all this chaos in woodlands. So yeah. So to quickly show you at the back of the camera, I have a lot of distraction up here in the foreground. So that's why I'm pointing the camera upwards at an upward angle to kind of exclude all the distractions at the bottom. That's not a perfect solution, because by pointing the camera upwards, you can see there's so much light in between all the leaves coming through, and it is distracting. But I think in this instant it is going to work, because the trees are so dominant in the frame, and it's just gonna, you know, the background is going to be chaotic anyway, just because there's so many leaves around, so many branches, and I think it is going to work. Okay, so I'm walking towards an opening right over here, and there seems to be a good amount of light, so we might get some very cool views, especially with all the rain and all the humidity now dissolving and coming out of the forest again. If I get some wide views, we might get some misty, foggy shots. Well, and even if that doesn't happen, seems like a tree line, some cool light, so pretty sure there's some opportunity for some cool images. I did it only for the video. Only for the video. So, two issues. First of all, if you have a look over there, looks pretty cool, but it looks like a lot of rain is moving in. So should probably keep on moving. Second issue is I'd like to take a photograph of that, but the moment I stop, I'm getting eaten alive by midgets, so yeah, no way to set up the tripod. I'll probably just grab the camera, take a handheld shot, because it's still quite bright, the scene, so should be able to get some handheld shots of that. Not got eaten alive. Okay, here we go. Stupid. No, fuck off. I think I got stuck by one, but the rain's gonna help with them. I hope so, at least. Okay, so I've taken shelter beneath a tree, which is actually quite cool because this is basically the only tree around here. Everything else is just open field, and I would have been pretty soaked on the open field. You can see over there, pretty much raining it down, and it's already slowed down a little bit. That yeah, shelter is pretty good. I've taken 1 or 2 cool images from here, from my safety covered location. One of them was these 2-3 trees over there, because the texture is pretty cool with the rain, looks quite cool, and also the green's getting so saturated. I'm not sure if it's going to turn out because composition is very, let's say, suboptimal, but hey. But I quite like the rain, you can see it in the image, I think. So while I'm stuck beneath this tree in the rain, I think it's a good moment to mention that I have a photography course available. It's the first link in the description, and I teach you everything you need to know about landscape and nature photography. I have a lot of modules that cover basic techniques, camera settings, and also advanced post-processing. How to deal with rainy conditions, for example. And also I have prints available, so if you like some of my images and you might want to have some of them framed up on your wall, it's the first link in the description, check it out. I think I'm standing here for like half an hour. So just had a look on my phone, and the forecast says it should pass within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Actually, I hope so. It has slowed down at least a little bit, but well. And then actually I got quite surprised because my phone said it was already 9 p.m. So, it's probably gonna get dark in a couple of minutes, and I don't want to be in the dark in the forest, especially with like wildlife around. Don't think it's such a good idea. You can already see there's some sunset light on the clouds, and everything else is getting darker and darker. So I should probably just head back and take the L. And well, I'm already wet, so yeah. Absolutely zero inspiration and zero creative thinking today. Now it's starting to drizzle it down. It's not making the conditions any better. Gotta shield you from the rain. So from all my photography experience, there's one lesson, and that's even no matter how shitty the conditions are or how shitty you feel, if you keep persisting, usually you do end up with something. To be honest, I don't think the rain is too bad if it continues. If it's just gonna drizzle it down for like 3 minutes, no. It's not too bad, honestly. So I think I found the first composition that I want to shoot, and it's quite interesting because normally you just walk past it. It's very, you have to work it out. So the main tree that I'm shooting is this one right over here in the middle. It has a lot of texture, and it's kind of like whitish, and then it has some green moss on it, and it gives a lot of color contrast. That's why I think it looks so interesting. And then you have other trees kind of like surrounding it in a half circle, and that brings it all to life. Now, what's really hard with this composition is balancing it, because if I just move a couple of centimeters to the left or right hand side, it completely changes the whole dynamic of the scene. So I really gotta make sure to put the camera in the exact right position so that everything just works together. So I'm shooting this quite wide open, the fastest aperture that I can, which is around f4 right now. Just because I want the main tree to be in focus and sharp, and everything else to be a little bit blurry, because as I've said earlier, it only works in a certain manner, and I don't want any of the trees to be distracting by being too sharp. Yeah, so the polarizer is actually a game changer because it really brings out the greens, and this works perfectly for the scene. It really gives color contrast between the tree stumps and this like brown color, and then all the green really saturates the green, kind of darkens it, takes away the glare. So polarizer is really the game changer. To be honest, I didn't expect too much from this shot. However, now on the back of the camera screen, I mean it's quite a small screen, but I'm actually very happy with that image. Just because there's so much going on in the background, but for some reason, all the elements, even like the smaller trees in the background and the ones on the side and the main tree and the greens and the colors, it all just balances everything out. It's all so balanced, and there's so much harmony in the image. That's it. So this is midgets. So this scene was an exact representation of what I would like to have more of today, especially in these dull, flat conditions. I'm getting eaten alive here on video. Yeah, especially with these conditions, and the light is just flat and dull and ambient and diffused, and nothing really sticking out, nothing interesting. There's no color and everything. So going for harmony and balance and shapes and all of that. Harmony. Yeah, of course now a tractor is coming, for sure. There you go. So this scene over here I think could be very similar. If you have a look, there's so many tree stumps. Of course no car is coming. So many tree stumps around here, and I think maybe they could work together in balance and harmony. They also have some interesting color, but it's just so much and so many tree stumps all over the place. It would be very, very hard to find something. And the problem with this composition is, in the background you can see there's so many light spots just because there's a street. And they are direct light spots, so I can't just get rid of them with a polarizer. And they're just super distracting from all of the rest of the image. So no matter how good the tree stumps look, if there's just some random hotspot and highlights over there, yeah, so keep going. So I think I have no option but to call it a day. And to be honest, I don't want to like run around all day here, but just one more chance. Probably doesn't come across on camera, but it starts to drizzling it down again, just super subtle, a little bit of rain. If that rain is gonna turn stronger, then we're gonna get some images, because then the conditions are gonna change so much and it's gonna be so much more interesting. And then I guarantee that we're gonna find some cool images, or at least one more. But it's just so faint right now. If the rain doesn't get stronger, I don't see myself finding any more images.